Hello, all you beautiful people. Welcome to Young Broken Board. I am joined with my beautiful co-host, Void, and my other
Yeah.
co-host, Sakuyo, aka B3D, aka Sky Sags, a man of many names indeed. Today, hello. Today, we're going to be discussing a video game series that fell off the hardest. So, I'm going to give a series that fell off the hardest. Void's going to give a series that fell off the hardest. And lastly, B3D is going to give a series that fell off the hardest. Please enjoy the video. Okay, so I'll be giving my video game series that fall off the hardest first. My first one, I have three here, just in case someone has one similar to mine. My first series is Rainbow Six Siege.
Very valid, I would say. Very valid. Well, don't you get your thoughts on this, Gino? Thoughts, comments,
or
concerns?
a game?
The game, my bad, game.
The game?
So yeah, Rainbow Six Siege. Think about what it used to be. It used to be this super cool, freaking like tactical shooter where you get to play as some of the best special forces in the world. You got the FBI, Spetsnaz, GSG-9, and then at some point it just devolved into I want to be Fortnite. I want to collab with Rick and Morty. I want to collab with Nier Automata.
Oh.
It's like it used to be.
They even got a Master Chief skin.
They did a Master Chief collab. It used to be so cool, and now it just wants to be Fortnite. A lot of people discuss when Rainbow Siege fell off the hardest. I think it fell off the hardest when they started leaning into like the esports thing, because like they had that whole freaking Siege World Cup thing, right? That was that was happening in real.
Remember that?
It was happening in real life. It was like when Oryx got at it in like 2019 or something like that. It was like they had the actual Rainbow Six Siege World Cup going on. And then the writers, in their infinite wisdom, decided, what if, right, they had their own World Cup in lore? Dear God, that's amazing.
Oh.
Ship it.
Yeah, I think,
sounds terrible.
Yeah, you look back at what Rainbows was in that. I got Rainbow on release. I remember I got,
I also had it on
begging
release.
My mom, I remember begging my mom to get it for me. I was a young kid. I didn't have any money. I was broke. So I remember, begging because I thought it was a cool SWAT game, and I love SWAT. I had on the PS2 the game SWAT. Great game, by the way. Far better than Rainbow. I had that growing up on the PS2. So I love SWAT, and to see this game where you can play as these SWAT operators, I thought it was the coolest thing ever, right? So, I get the game, and it's exactly as promised, right? Now, little kid me was not super into the, strategic FPS, so I kind of didn't play it. But it still delivered on what I wanted the game to be. Coming back into it, once again, it delivered. But over time, you see the slow, gradual downfall into this weird. I don't even know how to describe it. You got freaking holograms and stuff. Yeah, you got Kiryu Kazuma running around fighting Master Chief.
Modernized.
A lot of the abilities also are just straight, science fiction gobbledygook now. Before you had guys like, oh, this guy has a sledgehammer, that's his ability. This guy has EMP jammers, that's his. This guy smokes.
Yeah, Riot Shield.
That was their, their abilities, their main kit. Now it's like, okay, this guy can place hologram light walls, and this one controls robots from a wheelchair, and it's all over the place. These guys are out here. The one lady with the kunais, where she literally can form a cement wall from throwing one kunai, make it make sense.
The funny part is just like another reason why the actual game was starting to fall off hard is because Ubisoft listened to the competitive minority instead of the casual majority, because like every season of Rainbow gave you something else to deal with if you were attacking, because it's like they had motion sensors, they had freaking barbed wire, they had freaking, there was a whole ability where there's a whole character where her ability is literally just a room-wide barbed wire and a motion sensor at the same time, so you were slowed and enemies knew where you were.
Power creep is what it is, Power creep over time just kind of took the Rainbow scene, I suppose, from what like the original abilities are. You look at those original characters compared to the stuff they have now, and it's not even comparable,
I'm not even going to talk about Sam Fisher because
complicated.
Yes, I'm not even going to talk about Sam Fisher because I want to move on to the next one. Void, what is your video game that fell off the hardest?
Franchise, the series, the video game that I chose was Assassin's Creed.
Ooh.
I think that had quite the hardest nosedive of out of them all. You look at the originals.
Fall from grace.
Exactly. They fell, they started out strong, right? You Assassin's Creed 1 and 2, right? You got Ezio, you got 3 coming out with your boy
Beautiful
Connor.
trilogy.
I mean, yeah, literally a goated lineup, right? Great main story, great, new mechanics that the world really hadn't seen before.
You're
Like,
leaving
this was,
out
like,
you're leaving out a very
new.
important protagonist, my boy Edward from 4.
I was gonna get to that. Yeah, and then I think like you compare the writing, and it was very well put together. It was very tight. The characters felt realistic, especially when you look at between Connor and his father in 3. That was just peakly done. I played so much 3. So that being said, though, you look at what it was at one point, right? You see the glory that it had, right? With 4, where the ship combat. I mean, it was amazing, right? Amazing ship combat. You got sea shanties, and you're freaking fighting with Blackbeard. I mean, who doesn't love that stuff, And so it's a shame to see what it's become nowadays. Like, I hate to see it.
It's funny because Assassin's Creed 4 put the ship combat so high to perfection that when Skull and Bones was coming out, people were thinking, it's like, oh man, I bet the ship combat's going to be similar to Assassin's Creed 4. They did such a good job with it there. If they could do something similar, that'd be great. And the game comes out, and you ask, why the hell does my ship have a stamina bar?
It's somehow worse mechanics in the game. It's 10 years older or something.
That game launched on the PS3, Assassin's Creed 4.
I played it.
Decades.
I mean, yeah, it's just, you look at, because I think, where it really started to fall off, honestly, I'm going to pinpoint it to, honestly, Origins is when it really started. I think
That
Unity
changed the RPG
was like
side.
the last, I
Yeah.
think, exactly, I think Unity was the last great Assassin's Creed game. I think that has, literally the best parkour in all of them. The parkour was amazing. And the combat, the characters, I mean, he had Aura. The story, it was the last great one. Syndicate was decent. I liked what they did with the duo character design. You had the more brawler type character, Jacob, and you could.
But
I
it
think you had a
didn't
lot
really
of cool
feel
Shadows.
like an Assassin's game. kind
Yeah,
of.
Shadows
I'd
tried
agree,
to Shadows tried to do what they did in Syndicate, but they didn't do it as well, with freaking Yosuke being pretty much useless when exploring the open world. Or freaking Yasuke, whatever his name is. Yusuke, whatever. He's basically useless in the open world to explore because he can't climb. Like, you need to be able to climb to get collectibles to upgrade your stuff in Shadows. And he can't climb!
Yeah, I won't speak too much in Shadows simply because I haven't, played the game yet, and
I've only seen clips.
that's
of
what I'm saying. It does seem like it's a step forward in the right direction. It's got to be better than Valhalla or Odyssey or any of
Like
that
the bars
stuff,
on the floor for those
Mirage.
games, just kind of step it over.
It's bad, So like I said, what the series has become. I mean, I think Origins is the start of it. Origins still had a solid enough story, but I think the MMO. I get why they did it, right? They wanted to reinvent the franchise, but I think the way they went about that with the MMO style or whatever was just not the right way to do it, right? The gear levels and power levels and character levels, like it doesn't make sense.
It's like,
Or
this dude's
can-
like 5
yeah.
levels higher than me. I can't assassinate him. I just deal a certain amount of damage.
Or
Like,
put
if
this
it was
hat
God
on
of
and suddenly you
War,
can kill him.
it would
you know?
work, but an
Yeah, it just-
assassin game.
Exactly, it doesn't really work. I mean, I remember one time I was playing Odyssey, and I was fighting this bounty hunter, but he was 1 level higher than me. And it kid you not, it took me like 20 minutes of fighting him because he just had so much health, and he's 1 level higher than me. So I feel like that in itself is just a huge problem. Like, I shouldn't be getting just diffed by guys that are 1 level higher. I get they want to reinvent the franchise, bring it into something else, but I really don't think that was the right way to go about it, especially when you have people like Sucker Punch. Ghost of Tsushima comes out and it takes the world by storm, and it's
Absolutely
amazing,
blows
right?
Assassin's
Absolutely
Creed.
blows Assassin's Creed out of
it
the
showed
water.
us like this.
Cooks
Yeah,
it.
it showed us this is how Assassin's Creed should have been. This is what you could have been getting, but instead you got got Valhalla, a Viking
got-
assassin game.
We got
Aside from
Valhalla.
the mechanics, also the story has really taken a nosedive for these recent games.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's been 10 plus years since a great story.
That is the sad truth, honestly. It is a rough spot for the story. I'll say that it is a rough spot.
It ain't looking good.
At least the old games, they have phenomenal stories.
And I think the open world aspect also deserves to be put down. I mean, I honestly just don't think it works really. I think what works best is when you can do assassin parkour in a tight knit city. That's why all the all these games you had that, right? Like think to Unity, right? Very clustered city. It's a great parkour. You're jumping rooftop to rooftop, and then you flash forward to Odyssey, where it's just open land, the empty, boring
Like
open
just
world, mind you.
plains.
You
There's
know?
nothing
Yeah.
there.
Oh, here's a cave with a couple of
I
goons
guess they're
in
pretty
it,
to look at, but not much substance to them.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Assassin's Creed, that was a good one. I was honestly expecting you to say that, given how much you
With how
reminisce
much
about
they've
Assassin's
just
Creed,
fallen.
yeah, and how much they've
Exactly.
fallen off. All right. That was a great take from Void on Assassin's Creed there. The last person I want to hear from is BTD. What is your game or game series that you think fell off the hardest?
So for our last game for this video, it's Pokemon.
Oh,
This series
oh.
truly has just gone downhill in these last recent titles.
You see, I'm I'm not really that in the Pokemon scene. As someone who's played majority of the games, I'm assuming from you. Can you give us some examples of how they fell off?
I mean, if you go from a multitude of things like game design, art style, difficulty, I mean, the games haven't really been difficult, but these last couple games, laughably easy. If you look about
I
the
only
old
played the
games,
Game Boy Pokemon. I'm an old.
you know, the Emerald, the
Yeah, me
Rubies,
too.
If you go back to those, like any of the old games, it was just like a guaranteed, it's a good game. Emerald, Black and White, Diamond, Heart Gold, or Silver, guaranteed. These last couple games coming out, you have to question if they're even good or not.
That is true. That is
Scarlet and Violet, Sword and Shield,
Like
the
I
new one that's gonna come out.
I will say this.
Pal World's right there, you know.
Pal
all the
World's right
fans of
there.
Pokemon,
Yep.
they come over to Pal World, you know.
I
They got
will say
guns.
they got guns and yeah. I will say this though. I may have not played any of like the recent Pokemon games. Like I'm with Void. You know, I played the Game Boy ones. You know, I'm picking motherfucking Charmander as my starter. But I will say this: I don't like many of the new Pokemon designs. Like you got like the old gens. You got such iconic designs like Charmander, Bulbasaur, Squirtle, Piplup, and it's just like they're all iconic in their own way. And then like you get to the new stuff, it's like, isn't there one that's literally just a bag of trash?
It's kind of.
Yeah, you see, I'm not a fan of that.
But adding on to, you know, the Pokemon designs kind of ties into the modern 3D art style and design they have. The 3D animation. It used to be all 2D for the older games, and then like a 3D stylized for the 3DS.
I saw.
Now it's like full on 3D.
Yeah.
It just looks terrible for all the Pokemon.
Oddly enough, I did see this one video. If I can find it, I'll put it in the description. If I can find it, I might not be able to. But it was basically like a comparison between like an official like 3D. What were the game? It was like, oh god, it was like a Pokemon game that came up for the 3DS, right? It is like,
Omega Ruby?
what was the one that had like the rainbow deer on it?
That's X.
Pokemon, yeah, it was like X. It was like basically the official DS port of X and like a third party one, and like the official one, like it used its ultimate move and just like it literally just bounced left to right, left to right, left to right, and then the bootleg version did like a whole freaking like animated cutscene type stuff with effects and everything, and it just blew the 3DS version out of the water.
Oh, no.
If I can find it, I'll either put it in the video or put it in the description.
And you'd think with like later improvements in technology, we'd be able to get to that, but they just don't do anything. It's
You
like
think
the
with the
bare
nin-
minimum.
Yeah, you'd think with the Nintendo Corporation backing them to be able to do that.
All that money, power.
It's because they're content, you know. They know they have the corner on the market, you know, and then they do have competition. Power World, they try to snuff it out, you know. It's terrible. Said, hopefully my boys, free my boy Power World. But hopefully, they'll make a comeback here and they'll win their case. 'Cause, yeah,
Is that case still going
Power
on?
World 2.
I think so.
Still going on.
Wow. But
Most of the modern games are just rushed and put out for profit instead of, you know, the old style.
I feel like
and
that's kind of
the heart of
indicative
them.
of Nintendo as a whole, you know?
yeah, it's pretty much
Nintendo is
Nintendo
the
nowadays.
master of recycling old games, I feel like, you know?
They'll
If you
sell
look at some of
freaking.
the older games, like, or newer games like Mario and Zelda, they still do well. They're still, like, well made. But Pokemon, on the other hand, just
Mhm.
terrible.
It's just like you look at like it's like Mario and Zelda. They aren't afraid to innovate. It's like you look at like Mario Odyssey. It's like I heard like when that game came out, that game was like probably one of the best Mario games they made. And then, I don't know anything about Wonder. I'm more knowledgeable about Odyssey. But then like you look at Zelda Breath of the Wild, I'm just like this is like they literally put all their effort into like Zelda, Mario, and now Metroid it seems because I think they came out with a new Metroid Prime.
Metro coming out.
Yeah, they're coming out with
the
one.
remake, whatever.
Mhm.
She has
And
telekinesis now.
Wow. Yeah,
And
you
then
can
lastly,
you can tell Pokemon is like getting the short end of the stick.
mm, and lastly, Aura. No
That is true.
trainers or any of the
True.
Pokemon have Aura.
So
when you
true.
find Surus.
True.
I mean, Rayquaza, Himothy. You just say his name. He's him. You
Rayquaza.
know.
Rayquaza.
Or the name itself has aura to it, you know?
Hmm
Right.
That was I was honestly not expecting that from Mr. BTD over here. I was not honestly not expecting Pokemon because I never think Pokemon.
Me neither.
But yes,
I
that
had a bunch of them, but
you had a bunch. We all had a bunch
I
of them.
just finished Omega Ruby and I'm like, man, Violet sucks ass.
But yes, this video before this dragged on any long, I would like to end it here. I want to thank Void and BTD for sharing their series with me. This video was honestly a lot of fun. I wouldn't mind doing a part 2 in the future because
I got
I s-
much more games on this.
Same,
list.
I have
many
I have a
more.
list right here. I had one that Void could not even think of because it fell off that hard.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
We'll probably possibly do that.
Anyway, I want to thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, and turn on that bell so you can get notified when we upload new videos. And as always, we will see you all in the next video. Goodbye.
Peace.
Bye.